My husband and I have been together going on 3 years, and a few things have happened in that span that make me think something follows him and feeds off of both of us. I'm not very well versed in paranormal stuff, but I feel like too many things have happened that can't be explained any other way. When things first started happening, I tried to brush it off. I'd never experienced anything paranormal before and had a hard time believing what was happening. We've moved a few times since being together, and this started in the first place we lived, stopped in the second, and now has resumed in the third. My husband's dad is a strange man, to say the least. He's one of those people that uses Satanism for some sort of bragging right or tough guy act. Although I'm not sure if it's an act now. I don't know much detail, but my husband has told me of his dad performing satanic rituals, or just generally messing around with spiritual things he shouldn't be. I'm not religious and consider myself agnostic. I'm not particularly put off by any religion or spiritual practice at all, unless it was harming people or animals. But the way he is comes off as a kind of distorted attempt at showing off. My husband's paranormal experiences are vast and started when he was very young. His siblings have attested to the stories he's told me. Even though my husband does some things I disagree with, like every couple, he has never lied to me that I'm aware of. And the fear when he speaks of these incidents is tangible to me. You can sense his uneasiness at the memories. One of these incidents occurring with his sister in his bedroom in one of their childhood homes. They saw shadow figures in his room, and when they saw it, they hid in the closet, and he told her to scream as loud as she could until their parents came. Another involving his dad and his sister. His dad woke up from his bedroom on the second floor and started making his way down the hallway towards the stairs. He passes the sister's room on the way and saw her feet at the end of the bed through the ajar door. Thinking she was still asleep, he headed on down the stairs, only to find her sitting on the couch. These two were memorable and creepy to me, but there are a few others I won't get into. Fast forward to our first place, and weird things start happening to us. I was nodding off on the bed while hubby was in his gaming chair playing. All of a sudden, he jumps and yells in pain, and has 3 claw marks on his back. He said they burned badly, and he was visibly in pain. I looked for something, anything, that could explain the red-hot scratches across his shoulder blade, but he was sitting with his back slightly away from his brand new leather gaming chair. Nothing sticking out, nothing could have scratched him. I tried to brush it off. A few weeks later or so, I'm in the bathroom taking a shower. I have my music up loud in the shower, so I'm surprised I heard it. There was a floor-to-ceiling cabinet next to the tub for towels. I heard scratching coming from the inside, but I figured it was my cat since she liked to hang in there sometimes. I turned the shower off and opened the cabinet to let her out, and the cabinet was empty. I tried to brush it off. My husband experienced the same exact shower situation a few days later without me telling him about it. One time, we were falling asleep with the TV on YouTube in the background, and suddenly, a documentary about snakes came on out of nowhere. Actually switching off of our comedy video we were watching to that. We don't watch documentaries of any type on YouTube. We just watch stupid stuff like Steve Wilkos and comedy. Once we noticed it, and were thoroughly creeped out, we tried to switch it off, and almost all the suggested videos are snake documentaries. We moved shortly after and experienced nothing in the whole year we lived there, besides some creepy stuff in the woods once, most likely unrelated, but who knows. We recently moved again, and it started. First of all, Weird feelings in one particular room, our bedroom. It's also abnormally cold in there all the time. My cats are also oddly drawn to this room. As soon as I open the door, they bolt in there and want to sniff and check it out. Never any hissing or growling or signs of distress, though. For some reason, although no discussions were had about this, we kind of have an unspoken rule about the room. That being, we just don't sleep in there. We have passed out on the couch every night and just mutually and silently decided not to sleep in there. Because of this, I know he felt the same about the room as me. Just feels cold, empty, even though it was full, if that makes sense. That feeling of being watched, even though it's cliche, is something I feel constantly in the house, especially when I'm home alone. I'm a lucid dreamer if I dream at all. I can't remember any dreams I've had in the past 10 or so years that I haven't been fully aware I was dreaming. Usually, if a dream spirals into nightmare territory for me, I've trained myself to close my eyes in the dream and manifest a different place, and I go there. If I open my eyes in the dream and the scary setting is the same, I can then do the same thing to instead wake myself up. I've done it for years without fail. I know this probably sounds really weird, but anyone who lucid dreams a lot can probably understand what I mean. I've talked to many lucid dreamers who could wake themselves up, manifest a happier place, things like that. I had this nightmare about a week ago. It was from the perspective of myself, in the exact same position I was sleeping in on the couch in the very same room. Very realistic feeling, and I actually didn't know I was dreaming this time. There's a window around 5 feet from the end of the couch that I would be able to see right out of from my sleeping position if it wasn't blinded and curtained. On the outside of the window is my porch, and in my dream, there were no blinds or curtains on the window. I see a very tall woman, probably around 7 or 8 feet tall. She's standing on my porch, heavily decomposed. She smiles at me, and I feel terror. The dream ends. Today, we ran to the pet store to grab some stuff for the dog, and we turn off all the lights before we leave. Upon returning, through the slivers of the blinds from the outside, we both noticed the lights were on in the bedroom. I'm a very paranoid person, so my immediate thought was someone is in the house. We pull in and work out a game plan quickly. I grab my knife, he grabs our bat we keep in the car, and we go in. As we went in, the lights turned off in the bedroom. At this point, there's no doubt we're going to come face to face and possibly have an altercation with a burglar or something. But I found it odd that valuables were still in place. We turn all the lights on, search in the closets, under beds, everywhere. Nothing. No one. The only object that has moved is a picture. The only object that has moved is a framed picture of my grandparents I keep on my nightstand. My grandpa passed away 2 years ago. It was knocked over and face down on the nightstand. It's an odd feeling, having all these things happen in succession when you've never had a paranormal experience before. I never truly believed in things like that. I heard stories like everyone does, but I had never seen anything. I tried to believe people, but had a hard time with it. Now I know something is very wrong. We're both having nightmares now, frequently. And since moving multiple places hasn't fixed anything, I feel like there's no escape. I'm scared of existing in any space I occupy now, and I know that if it is what I think it is, it's feeding off of that fear. But how do I stop being scared? I can't ignore it. I've already confirmed it in my head and can't weasel my way out of the conclusion I've come to. None of it was ever chalked up to anything explainable, no matter how hard I tried. What would you do